Alright guys, this is a service truck tour of my 2013 Dodge Ram 5500. Summit crane body, service body on the back. Here it is. I'll start with the engine. It's a red top 6.7 Cummins with everything deleted on 5-inch straight pipe. This is pretty much my office. Goes with my printer, my document scanner. Have to come in here more. This is all my office. And then I just keep lots of water, extra fuel filters, extra boots, extra clothes, extra silverware, extra plates, extra bags just in case I need to pile tools in there. I've got all my HVAC stuff, HVAC gauges, my HVAC pump. Keep all that up here so it doesn't get banged around. And then I just keep all my old work orders, old receipts and everything under there. I also have my porta power stored under here because I don't really use it a whole lot, but it's there when I need it. And I have my welding helmet, my welding jacket, my welding gloves, rain jacket. That's pretty important in case you have to work in the rain. And this PEX tubing, something I use for making bushings out of. Where all the money is right in here. So my toolbox, I have my 1/2-inch Monster Lithium snap-on, my 3/8 Monster Lithium snap-on, my Milwaukee drill, gotta have one of those. Milwaukee Grinder, I don't know what I'd do without that. And just extra drills. You got a 1/2-inch impact, you got die grinders. Air hammer, that was in pretty handy. We've also got a certain adapter. I use this for driving in bearings, but it turns your air hammer into a 1/2-inch drive. If you wanted to run in a bearing, you could take a socket, put it on there and drive in a bearing. So you don't have to have 1,000 different sizes of brace fuel drivers. It makes it a whole lot easier. And then also got a hacksaw, little air impact. And another important thing I use is the Dremel. I don't know what they call it, but it's like an engraver. So if I want to take off hydraulic hoses, and I have like 20 hoses, I don't have to label them all. I can just engrave the numbers in with this engraver. Something else I have is a snap-on Apex torque wrench. Does torque angles, and I can also use it if I needed to torque a hydraulic hose on. You can take a crow's foot, put it on there, then I can go into the settings and like tell it that this distance from here to here, I can measure that and I can put it in here and it'll adjust for the torque head length. Pretty handy when I'm doing hydraulic hoses. I get something that's pretty important, like a propulsion hose. And this is my top drawer. I've always got lots of headlamps for working in the dark. I got all my little air tool pieces, extra like hydraulic or extra electrical stuff, just junk. These come in pretty handy for like getting the sizes of bolts. I can get different thread pitches and figure out everything I need. Digital caliper. Got my multimeter. I think I got this multimeter for like $8 on sale, and it just works great. Like, I don't really even see the need to go spend more money on a multimeter. You just get you some good like fluke leads for it, and just get a multimeter that works. And can't really. There's no reason to really go spend more money on a multimeter. And I got a Butane Torch, soldering iron, test probe. You gotta have super glue and baby weld. And temperature gun. It's always good to check like bearing temperatures or hub temperatures. Gotta have an inspection mirror. Got a tape measure. Can't have enough headlamps. These are all my vice grips, pliers, and a lot of tools I use. Some of them are these Wildy tools made in Kansas, not too far from here. I got these Milwaukee Cobalt drill bits. You gotta have these if you're gonna be drilling stainless steel. I've only broken 2 of them. They seem to do pretty good in stainless steel compared to any other drill bit, especially if you're hand drilling. I just kind of keep all my extra bits and everything in tackle boxes. Extra Allens, and you gotta have easy outs. I'm always replacing broken grease zerks, and those work really good for getting out the broken grease fittings. Another thing I like to have on hand is one of these reamers. If you ever get a hole that isn't quite big enough, you can just ream it out a little bit. About like $60. I keep all the abrasives and all wire wheels. Lots of cut-off wheels, hacksaw blades. They come in handy when you need them once in a while. I have emery claw. This is all my screwdrivers. I have a lot of these Greenlee ones. They're kind of the same as the Klein Tools ones. I don't really keep a whole lot for like overview picks. It seems like this one, I've had it forever and it pretty much works for everything I could ever need it for. Maybe a little flathead screwdriver once in a while. It pretty much works just about everything I could ever need it for. Most of my wrenches, I carry like John Deere wrenches, everything up to 1.5 inches. And occasionally I need something bigger than 1.5 inches, and then I just use a crow's foot on it, and that usually works fine. I've got some Allen sockets. Got a lot of brass punches. They work good if you want to drive a race onto a shaft or into a hub or anything like that. You can drive it in without messing it up. Got like wedges. They work pretty handy if you need a wedge, like some kind of a gear case apart or anything like that. Roll pin punches. They're that Wildy brand out of Kansas. The roll pin or punch holder, same brand. And more brass punches. This punch works for a lot of things. I've also got extra wrenches. I've got a Cornwell filter strap wrench. I've only broken one of them. Trying to get a filter off that was stuck on. This is all my impact sockets everything from about 1.25 inches, the metric equivalent, and then I just keep all my regular sockets down here. You keep this socket for working on Heggies. I work on a lot of application equipment like row crop machines and floaters. You gotta have some big 3/4 inch drive stuff. I keep this 1 inch to 3/4 inch drive adapter for my 1 inch air gun. Then I got a swivel. Then I just got all kinds of ratchets. Got like long Torx bits for, these are for like changing an injector on a 6.0 Power Stroke. You'll need those. You got a lot of T-handles. I like having T-handles. Motion Pro T-handles. This little digital torque adapter. It'll do everything from like about 10 to 50 and kind of takes place of what the snap-on torque wrench won't do. If I need to torque something to like 25 foot-pounds, I can use this. Deer wrenches. We've got like 3/4 inch ratchet back, like a $300 ratchet. And I always keep a big crescent wrench because it seems like it always comes in handy. I can always just take this and put it on a big nut, and then I can use my crane on my service truck with a clevis and just lift up on with a crane to break big nuts loose or whatever. So I don't have to throw my back out. Something else I use a lot is I use big punches and big chisel. I got a homemade tool that I use for taking apart hydraulic cylinders. Otherwise, the tool for this is like $400. I just made my own, hardened the steel. These tips are like grade 10 bolts, and they seem to work all right. I use this chisel for pulling apart like Planetary hub assemblies. You'll need this to pull the gears apart. Hammer, I really like this hammer. It's got like lead shot in it. It's a dead blow, so you can hit things and it doesn't bounce, and it kind of drives it more force rather than just a regular sledgehammer. It's like totally different. I got this torque multiplier. Pretty much just stick my snap-on ATEC on here, and then I can torque wheel hubs like 450 foot-pounds. And to use that, you just take whatever you want to torque. Say if you want to torque 450 foot-pounds, you just take that and divide it by 3.4. That's what you set your torque wrench to. This is a 4 times multiplier, but you divide it by 3.4 because of the parasitic drag in the Planetary gears. If that makes sense. Like this 1/2 inch breaker bar. I think I got it for like 20 bucks at Harbor Freight. It holds like 600 foot-pounds before it snaps. So I usually just use it until it snaps, and then I just go trade it in and get another one. Sometimes there's just nothing else you can do other than just put as much torque on it as you can until it breaks. Like over here, I've got a bunch of like snap ring pliers. Cheap ones. They work just fine. I haven't broken a tip on them yet. I got all my little bits. Gotta have all those. Another thing you gotta have if you're gonna work on tractors or any kind of farm equipment, you gotta have some big 3/4 inch drive sockets taken off the wheels. I like these because they're just the right thickness. So if I want to work on like a case, I can put this on the wheel and it fits in between the hub and the lug nuts. You can see how it fits pretty tight because it's rubbed, but it's just the right thickness that it works just fine. A lot of them you get, they're too thick and they won't fit, and if you get the cheap chrome sockets, they'll just break. got the metric 3/4 inch sockets. I don't really use a whole lot, but I have them if I need them. I just keep all my electrical connectors. Well, everything I use is heat shrink because I work in application industry, so anything gets fertilizer on it's just going to get ate up. But keep all my like extra grease fittings in there. And a lot of them I like to use are these like ones without any heat shrink on them, because I can grip them a lot harder, and then I just slide some heat shrink tubing over that with the glue on the inside, and then it seals it up pretty well. Got lots of pin pushers. Another thing, like if you're out in the middle of the field, like 20 miles from civilization, you're gonna need some taps and dies because bolts always get cross-threaded or threads get messed up, and you don't have anywhere to go to get the right part to fix it, so you gotta have taps and dies to make things work. I keep lots of O-ring kits. Got about every O-ring I could ever need. There's once in a while I find an O-ring that's not in this kit, but it's a pretty good assortment for hydraulic hoses. And I've had a couple spool valves that I didn't have no ring for, so I had to order it. Just keep a vacuum pump if I need to take like oil samples or anything like that. I can pull that out of a crankcase or out of a hydraulic fluid reservoir, or even for bleeding the brakes on my service truck I can use that. Got a slide hammer with some adapters on it. And then they got some of the jumbo snap ring pliers for rebuilding Planetary hubs. You gotta have these. There's literally no other way to get it apart other than if you have some jumbo snap ring pliers. I got like extra socket set if I ever lose the socket. And then I've got all kinds of flat-faced and JIC tap and plug kits for hydraulics. I've got like 3 of those sets. And I've even got some bigger fittings, like capping off the bottom of a hydraulic fluid reservoir. I'm going to keep my diesel and my fire extinguisher in here. Also keep like an extra thing of butane from the Butane Torch. And the rest in here, I just keep all my nuts and bolts. Then I got some creeper I keep up there. I got extra like auto greaser, remote greaser line. We've got all my electrical fittings. All kinds of extra electrical fittings in here. Lots of zip ties. You can never have too many zip ties. It seems like you're always going to run out, and then you're not going to have them when you need them. Keep some extra hose clamps, some extra wires. In here I keep all my hydraulic test equipment. There's gauges and valves. So if like I get a row crop machine that's broke down on the side of the highway, I can use these to put the pressure to the parking brake that's inside the Planetary hub, and then get the machine off the road, or at least tow it to somewhere where I can fix it, because the machines are designed, if the engine shut down and they lose the hydraulic pressure, then they pretty much, they're stuck where they are. So here, I got an inverter. It runs off the positive power coming to my generator starter. It runs off the truck, comes off the 12-volt battery for the truck. I just pull power off that, run it into here, and then I can charge all my snap-ons, my Milwaukees, and just all the batteries that I have. And then I've got an extra battery charger, extra air hose, extra electrical cord, and then I got all kinds of chains. I got mandrels for driving through the air tubes on the air booms on application equipment. I keep the vise in here instead of keeping it back here, because then it just keeps it out of the water. You gotta come along. This is the back of the truck. This is the back of my truck. I keep extra buckets to always put oil in, all kinds of wood blocks. You never have too many wood blocks. Extra safety cones. I got an 8-foot ladder and like a 2-foot ladder, and then I got my air jacks. These are like a couple $1,000s a piece. They were really good for working on row crop machines and floaters. You basically just hook this up to your air tank, your air supply, and then you just put air into it through this hose, and you can get all kinds of extensions to make these things like 8 foot tall if you wanted to. And then you, as they go up, you put pins in, holes come up out of this. It's just an air cylinder. These will literally lift like a 50,000 pound piece of machinery. And then in here I've got my hydraulic lift table. It works really good for working on Planetary gears. So I've got to pull a hub off or something like that. And then I just got all kinds of random metal, and then spare tire. This is my van air compressor. It's hydraulically driven off the PTO pump. And then extra air tank above with an air dryer. And my Miller welder. It's just a stick welder, but it works good. You can't run anything other than a welder off of it, because the AC coming out of this thing is just horrible. Like, pretty much won't run anything other than welding. Need to upgrade and get an inverter style generator. And then this is the Summit crane. This thing works like great, and I can pretty much lift just about anything I want to with it. I think it'll lift around like 6,000 pounds. I guess the most I've ever lifted with it was about 3,000 pounds on a rear axle. But it's got like 3 extensions, and it'll reach out like 20 feet. Yeah, like literally they'll reach out like 31 feet, I guess. Pretty much 6,000 pounds, depending on how you use it. Then the outriggers. And this is the crane controls. And we've just got extra straps and clevises. And I really like this controller because it's like variable speed, so I can tell the boom to go up and like just squeeze the trigger however fast I want it to go. And it's got safety stops, and I can basically start and stop with the engine on my truck with this switch, and then I can start the air compressor and stop the air compressor. So it basically does everything. And then I just use this for running the outriggers out. I like to keep this unplugged because then it shuts off electrical power. So if something were to bump this, my outriggers wouldn't crush someone. I got my like air dryer and air oiler right there. Here I just keep all my oil extra grease. Ironclad works really good, keeping rust off of my tools because I work in fertilizer all day, every day, so I basically just spray my tools down with this every day. And basically just got like every oil and everything you could need, like small amounts. Then I got my 1-inch air pack. I got a grease gun. This grease gun is pretty important because on the Dodges, on your front drive shaft, you got a double U-joint that you have to get in. And you have to get in between it and basically push this into like a little grease fitting and then grease it. Otherwise, your transfer case will just explode. That's what happened in this truck before I had it. And I got a sledgehammer and just all kinds of big sockets for working on axles. All these. And this tool used for blocking up the suspension on Haggies and John Deere's row crop machines. Around here I just kind of keep all the junk. I keep a lot of like spray paint and stainless steel bolts and nuts I have to have because I work in fertilizer all the time. I keep like an extra case of brake parts cleaner, extra like towels, extra pins, extra like random parts, like a speed sensor. Got all kinds of speed sensors for like planetary hubs, wheel motors, all kinds of extra hydraulic parts. Bearings, like so much stuff I don't even know how to keep track of it all, but keep like extra nodes in here for CAN bus systems, like Raven CAN bus. Cover for the generator, it's all torn to hell. And here I keep the oxyacetylene torch. Just all the safety crap, and then I have like this $1,500 like fall protection harness, so if I need to climb up on something, the row crop machine with the boom's like snapped off on, and I've got to climb like 15 feet up on it, work on it, I can put this on, and I can clamp this one onto something, and clamp this onto something, and most of the time I'm out in the field by myself, with like no one around, so if I fall off somewhere and I don't have any way to get back down to the ground, so I can just pull this little tab and it'll lower me to the ground so I'm not just hanging there until somebody comes. And it's also got this clamp so I can like use the clamp on the side of a dry box or just anywhere. A strap that I can just wrap around anything I need to wrap it around. Basically I can climb on just about anything I ever needed to do. I just keep my clothes bag, all kinds of spare parts for projects that I've been working on. So there's always like pins and things that need replaced, and bushings. All kinds of bushings, the seals for resealing hydraulic cylinders. Some like rear view cameras, I install those too. All kinds of filters and anything you think of, projects that I'm working on. Yeah, that pretty much concludes my service truck tour. Alright, so another thing I really like about this truck is that it's got like strip lighting on top of like every box. When I'm working in the dark, I got a pretty good view of like everything I need. I can like see in here, find whatever it is I need to find. Even if I need to grab like a battery. And the whole other side's got the strip lighting too. Sometimes you just need a big pair of pliers, cut something off, or even to pull a seal. Sometimes these fence pliers work really good. And whatever you do, make sure you only buy like the name brand vice grips, because the other like Harbor Freight ones just suck. Also keep like long pry bars on the sides here. Oh, and don't forget, you gotta have a knee pad.